My name is Willie Harper and I'm running for Caldwell County Jailer. I was born at Caldwell County Hospital in 1981. I graduated Caldwell County High School in 1999. I've been married to my wife Candace for 15 years. We have two sons, age 9 and age 4. And I've also been an active member of the Princeton Volunteer Fire Department for the past 7 years. All right.
Question 1. What do you perceive to be the major issue to be addressed by you as jailer, and how would you approach that issue?
First and foremost, the most significant issue I'd like to address is the employee turnover rate. Staffing has been a major problem facing many workforces in the past couple of years, but corrections has suffered significantly. It creates a dangerous problem for both employees and inmates. Not being able to keep enough staff on hand increases the workload on the existing staff. Not being able to keep enough staff on hand increases the workload on existing staff. Good employees become overworked and burnout sets in. Staff stress increases and inmate care decreases. This presents a significant safety issue for staff and inmates and also the public. It is vital that we find ways not only to attract new employees, but to also retain the employees that we already have. Experience is an invaluable tool when it comes to working inside the jail, and the only way to keep that experience is to work on our staff retention. In order to address this issue, I would like to examine the logistics of higher pay for the jail deputies as well as incentive bonuses. This would help redirect the taxpayers' money from being spent on overtime pay for overworked employees to help paying for a higher number of employees, thus increasing the safety and efficiency of the jail.
Question 2. There has been a discussion of a regional jail. The possibility of 4 counties going together to build and fund the jail. Please explain why you would or would not be in favor of a regional facility.
This is a topic that I'd like to keep an open mind about. Right now, with the knowledge and information I have, I do not see it feasible to build a regional jail. It would cost each county somewhere around $5 million each to fund the new jail. To be in compliance with the standards set in place for newly constructed jails, it would have to have a minimum of 200 beds. Presently, Caldwell County Jail has not had the issue with some of the bigger, more violent disturbances that we see in larger jails. This is partly due to the small size of our jail and the fact that many of our inmates in our jail are from our own hometown. This would not be the case in a regional facility and would mean our inmates would be subject to the increased number of issues inside of a larger jail. With that said, I do strive to keep an open mind about such topics, especially ones that I do not have all the information or the facts on. I believe more research and discussion is needed in order to make a truly informed decision.
Question 3. Would you establish a code of ethics for your employees? If your answer is yes, please explain some of the points you would include. If your answer is no, please explain why not.
Yes, I would have an established code of ethics per KRS statute 65.003. The governing body of each city, county, urban county, consolidated local government, and charter county shall adopt by ordinance a code of ethics which shall apply to all elected officials of the city, county, urban county, consolidated local government, or charter county, and appointed officials and employees of the city, county, urban county, consolidated local government, or charter government, or agencies created jointly. As specified in the Code of Ethics, the elected officials of the county, city, or consolidated government to which code of ethics shall apply include the mayor, county judge executive, members of the governing body, county clerks, county attorney, sheriffs, jailers, coroners, surveyors, and constables, but does not include members of the school board. Agencies created jointly may include planning or administrative commissions or boards. Candidates for local government elective offices specified in the subsection shall comply with an annual financial disclosure statement filing requirements contained in the Code of Ethics. There is already a Code of Ethics set forth by current jailer John Pettit that I am familiar with. My Code of Ethics would not differ much than the one currently used by the jail. All jail employees are held accountable for any violations. Jail employees are also held to a higher standard than private citizens. This means that on or off duty, jail employees are expected to conduct themselves in a manner that would positively represent the jail and the county. Any violation of the Code of Ethics would be investigated and proper disciplinary action would be taken. Each employee would be expected to be firm, fair, and consistent to every inmate, regardless of their crime.
And in closing, is there anything you would like to add?
In closing, if elected your county jailer, I would be dedicated to ensuring the safety of our community, staff, and the inmates at the jail. Jailer is a full-time job that requires full-time attention. I am willing and ready to give the jail the attention it needs to stay successful. Since our jail is a taxpayer-funded jail, I would explore different avenues to help save our taxpayer dollars. I would also work diligently to make sure that our jail meets and exceeds Kentucky jail standards as it has year after year.
Mr. Harper, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joe Don Doom. I'm seeking the Republican nomination for the office of jailer here in Caldwell County. I live in Fredonia with my wife and our 2 teenage nieces there. We have a small hobby farm. We enjoy raising our donkeys and alpacas and chickens and dogs and cats, and that's just a little bit about who I am, where I'm from. Raised abroad as a military brat. My dad was born and raised in Fredonia. All his family's from Fredonia. Speaking to my experience, I have a little over 13 years of experience in the corrections field, working in jail and corrections. I worked for 12 years at the Western Kentucky Correctional Complex over here in Fredonia, where I served as a correctional officer, and then later in my career I was promoted to sergeant. During my time there, I spent about 10 years as a member of the emergency response team, which for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's basically like SWAT, but inside the prison. Also during my tenure on the emergency response team, I spent about 2 years as a adjunct training coordinator, where I helped coordinate the training for the emergency response team on a monthly basis. During my time there, I worked all 3 shifts. I worked every post within the department. And then in 2016, 2017, I worked as a part-time deputy here at Caldwell County Jail. That was approximately 15 months there. Currently, I'm self-employed as the owner of the Armory Gun Shop here in Princeton. I'm seeking the election for this position because I truly enjoy this line of work. I've missed being in that line of work. I've been out for about 10 years now. Well, I've been away from the prison for about 10 years. I have a passion for this line of work. I truly enjoy it. I was good at it, and I would relish the opportunity to be in that line of work again and do it in the service of Caldwell County as your jailer. To that, I pledge to you all to do the best job that I can and run the facility with fairness and bring honor to the position, and do my best to stay on budget or under budget, because I know that's a big concern to taxpayers when we're spending their money. So we'll move on to the questions.
Question 1. What do you perceive to be the major issue to be addressed by you as jailer, and how would you approach that issue?
Okay. As I said, I worked at this jail in 2016, 2017. I've not been inside our jail since then, so I struggled a little bit trying to come with an answer for this one, but the best way I can answer that is like this. If I'm elected, I will make daily assessments to the operation of the facility to look and see what I think might need to be changed, and then make adjustments to the policies and procedures as necessary. If you'd asked me that question 5 years ago when I worked at the jail, I could give you a laundry list of things that I felt like needed to be changed. I do still talk to some people that I know that work there, and it's my understanding that a lot of the things that I felt like needed to be changed actually have been changed and have been addressed, and so that's a good thing, and I want to keep moving forward with any positive change we can have. I want to operate, as I've already said, operate as safely and efficiently as possible, because I've always said, safety and security of the public is number one, with staff and inmates falling right in behind that. So we want to do that as efficiently as possible. But I also want people to understand that I don't want to make changes for the sake of change, because I've seen that. I saw that in my years in corrections. We would get new administrators in, or new deputy wardens, new wardens, and everybody wants to just kind of leave their mark. They want to say, I did that, I changed that. And sometimes they would make change just to say they made the change. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in that position. That's just not, to me, that's not a good way to operate. We change things that need to be changed. The things that don't need to be changed, we can leave alone. Maybe tweak them a little bit here and there. And anything I do as jailer will be done with the advice, with the counsel of the people that are going to be working for me, with my deputies. They're the ones that have to work in it every day. So to come in and take almost a dictatorship type role is not good either. You can't just come in and say, this is how it's going to be. You have to talk to them, and that I always felt my supervisors that I worked for when I worked in the prison system, those were the people that I connected with the most, were the guys that says, hey Joe, how would you do this job? You're the one out here doing it every day, how would you do it? So any changes to be made would also be, like I said, I would take the counsel and the advice of staff members. Getting close to time on this one, so there's one other statement I want to make to that. It's always been done that way, is what we hear a lot, and especially in government positions. When people ask why is it done this way or why is that not done that way, and I want to say that I believe that's a very dangerous and damaging attitude to have towards the operation of any government facility, any facility period, but especially in government facilities. So you're never going to hear that come out of my mouth. If there's something that needs to be changed, and even a member of the public wants to address it, we can certainly talk to people. I'll have an open door policy. So that's okay. That was time on that one.
Question 2. There has been a discussion of a regional jail, the possibility of 4 counties going together to build and fund the jail. Please explain why you would or would not be in favor of a regional facility.
Okay. First with that is, I haven't really heard a lot of talk about it recently. I know years ago there was a lot, we were talking about Caldwell, Crittenden, and Lyon, and I want to say Livingston were going to go together. And then I think Crittenden County got kind of tired of waiting on the process, and so that's when they built their new jail on their own. And so since that, I've not heard a lot about it, but the talk might still be there. I don't know. With all that being said, on the surface, I don't feel like that's a horrible idea. It could potentially save some of these smaller counties some money, not having to have a jail to operate, which of the counties that would still be available to go in with us, I think we're the only one that still operates a jail anyway. So I know Lyon County doesn't, Livingston County doesn't. Crittenden County being out, they've got their own jail. I don't know who else would be in there. But I do feel like there might be a couple of issues, and I think this has already somewhat been seen. I think there would be a lot of fighting about where it's going to be located, because I feel like everybody's going to want it in their county, because they're going to want the jobs that it potentially would create. They're going to want if you build a big enough facility and you have room to house state and federal inmates, they're going to want the revenue that could bring into their county. Which kind of brings me back a little bit about, I think, when Crittenden County went ahead and built their own jail outside of this regional jail, because there was a lot of disagreement over where this regional jail would be located. So that's, like I said, so on the surface, I'm not opposed to it, and if it was to come about, I would work with magistrates, judge, exec, whoever I need to work with. If we decide that's what's going to happen, then obviously I would work with whoever I need to work with. I think a better option would be to look at the possibility of either expanding our current facility, which I'm not sure that we have the room for that where it's at, or building a completely new facility for ourselves. But to that end, I'm not optimistic that it's something we could financially accomplish as a county. And some of these things I don't know all about. I know, let's just say, for argument's sake, a 100-bed unit would probably cost multiple tens of millions of dollars. I would say easily $30 or $40 million to build a 100-bed facility. And I know as a small county, we don't have that kind of money. So it would take state aid, federal aid, if that's even available. And then that would be, again, looking into housing state and federal inmates, because they would actually pay us instead of just being a drain on the economy of the county. We could be bringing some money back in. So I feel like that's a better option. So just in summary of all of that, I don't feel like we could get enough agreement between 4 counties to ever decide on where it was going to be operated, how it was going to be operated. And then, as the better option, I feel like at some point in the future, we would be better off to either expand our current facility or build a new facility of our own.
Question 3. Would you establish a code of ethics for your employees? If your answer is yes, please explain some of the points you would include. And if your answer is no, please explain why not.
Absolutely, 100% yes. In government, period, I think we live under a microscope, as we should. We should be held accountable to the people that voted for us, especially law enforcement in this day and age. You are definitely under a microscope. Everything you do is picked apart by the locals, by the media, So it's absolutely imperative, not just important, it's imperative that we have a code of ethics for our deputies and for everybody that works at the jail. One of the main points that I would include in that would be standards as to how deputies would be required to conduct themselves in public, and that's on duty or off duty. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, when I'm off duty, and what I do is none of your business. Well, my opinion of that is when you raise your hand in that office right over there and you swear that oath to that badge into this county, you also are swearing yourself to a higher standard of conduct when you put that badge on. If you're a deputy sheriff, if you're a state police officer, if you're a city police officer, I don't care what badge you're wearing, you're held to a higher standard, and you should be held to a higher standard. And that's on duty or off duty. I fully believe in that. I'm not saying people can't go out here and live their lives and have fun and do what they do. You have to be cognizant of what you're doing, and people are watching you. People are watching you every day. And one thing that and this is probably going to draw some criticism too, but I'm going to say it because I believe it. What you put on social media is very important. I have seen posts of people who work in government positions or government jobs, and they draw backlash from their social media posts, and they don't understand why. It's because at that point you're still a representative of my office, and so that reflects on me. That reflects poorly on the county, and I truly believe it's all under the microscope. We really have to watch ourselves. When you wear that badge, you have to be ultra aware of what you're doing, where you're doing it, what you say, when you say it. And then the only other thing I wrote down for this one, as far as things that would be included, possibly in that type of policy, would be how deputies deal directly with the inmates inside the jail. When they're just making their patrol rounds and things like that. I've seen some, when I worked there, I'd seen some pretty inappropriate interactions between staff and inmates that, had I been in a position of authority at that point, would not have flown with me. There was a few instances, just staff saying things that you really shouldn't have been saying to the inmates. You have to be professional. I'm not saying you can't have a rapport with them, because they're under a lot of pressure being there, and as a deputy, you're under a lot of pressure working there. But you can do it and still be professional and not make off-color statements or make even sexual statements or anything like that towards inmates, because it's just not. That's not appropriate. So he just called time on me. I just wanted to also add to that. Obviously, any and all policy changes would have to fall within the Department of Corrections policies that govern our jails. And that's it on that one.
In conclusion, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I made a brief closing statement here. I've said this publicly already. I want to say it again here. I'm not running against anybody for this position, for this election. I think I'm running for Caldwell County. I want to work for the citizens of Caldwell County. I've been in public service about half of my adult life. I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting with people. I enjoy talking to people. So again, I'm running for Caldwell County and for its citizens, because if elected, that's who I will be serving. And I feel like if you have to run against somebody, I think that speaks to your character. And I think people should think about that when these candidates are coming around knocking on their door saying, "Hey, will you vote for me?" And they say, "Well, who are you running against?" And I'm not running against anybody. I've got some people that are trying to get the same job I'm trying to get right now, and that's okay. And I have no issue with any of those people. I like all of them. I've talked to all of them. So I'm not running against anybody. So that was a challenge to the citizens that watch this. Pay attention to the answer to that question when people come around. I want to just thank all my friends and family that's been there for me through all of this. I couldn't do this without them. I've already said, I own the Armory Gun Shop. I've had a lot of help there, keeping it covered while I'm out on the campaign. I want to thank Chad and everybody at the Banner that's helped set this up, Mr. Roy Jean Rogers, who's here with us. I think this is a very important, very good thing to do. People can hear how we feel. People, that may not get to see us face to face in the community or in the door-to-door campaign trail. And then lastly, I would like to humbly ask for your vote on May 17th. And I will look forward to the opportunity to serve you as your jailer. Thank you.
Mr. Doom, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Doug Martin. I'm running for jailer of Caldwell County. I want to thank the Banner for inviting me here today to speak. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm married to Polly Board Martin, been married for 12 years. My two children are Mitzi Martin and Doug Martin Jr. of Caldwell County. I am blessed with two stepchildren, Jessica Best Board and Travis Michael Board of Caldwell County, and 5 wonderful grandchildren and a granddog. I got to mention the granddog. I am the son of the late George E. and Dolores Martin. My father retired from WKCC as sergeant. He continued to serve corrections as a deputy under Calvin Trusty of the Caldwell County Jail. My brother Russ Martin was served as deputy of Caldwell County as well. I also shared many wonderful experiences with my uncle Russ Martin. A lot of them call him Russell Martin here in Caldwell County. He run the local bunny bread route. He was kind of my father when my dad finally passed on. He took up where he left off. My love for Caldwell County and serving my community has been a must for me. I have always wanted to serve after I found out that I could make a difference. That is my passion now. My experiences, I was 8 years chief deputy of Caldwell County Jail at different times. I had a break in service to go to pretrial services. That, in a way, was another way to help participants get away from the revolving door of jail. I have extensive knowledge of the court system. My main focus in my career was I was drug court supervisor for 9 years, which my job was to educate, help those in the recovery process to achieve their goals, and assisted participants to obtain employment, education, and be self-sufficient. I have 21 years work experience in the same field, and I believe the same field is helping people.
Question 1. What do you perceive to be the major issue to be addressed by you as jailer, and how would you approach that issue?
I think one of the biggest issues that faces the jail right now is recidivism. Recidivism meaning reoffending. Albert Einstein defined the word insanity and is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. At all stages of drug and alcohol abuse, there should be intervention other than and along with jail. Recidivism has other words that relate to the same thing. For example, relapse, reoffending, backsliding, repetition, reconvicting. WorldPopulationReview.com, Kentucky recidivism rate is 32.2%. The recidivism rate for probation pro at the time is 52%. A review of five independent meta-analysis conclude the intervention by the drug court program significantly reduces crime by an average of 8 to 26% percentage point. Well-administered drug courts were found to have reduced crime rates as much as 35%. I have seen firsthand programs like drug courts. I've seen the mother, sister, and daughter that lived in the city park some nights, going from couch to couch, sleeping. A woman that lost kids, home, family through education and rehabilitation, along with jail. I watched she got her own place back, she got her kids back, had a great job, and actually went to school and got a degree, so it can happen with rehabilitation. I've seen the father, brother, and son, while interviewing him for a possible admission to drug court, could not focus on the questions I were asking him. So you had to nurse him through that. After he graduated the program, the drug court program, he is now has a good job, has his family, fantastic member of society, and giving back to the rehabilitation community. And that's the type of people that I would reach out to if I needed help as far as that. People with addiction are not a throwaway society. They are father, brother, son, mother, sister, daughters. While I was drug court supervisor, I reached out to help from a lot of public partners. For instance, Ashley Borden and Joni Carter Phelps work at the Caldwell County Extension Office. They both had a big impact on drug court education process. They gave classes to participants on healthy living, healthy cooking, and budgeting. Celebrate Recovery is a big factor in rehabilitation. They have a good program. I remind them of one female participant, 25 years old, that went to a cooking class and learned how to make an omelet, an egg omelet. She was so proud of herself. No one had ever taught her how to cook. That's kind of what we're dealing with. We have to educate. We can't just throw in jail and then let them out and just do the same things over and over again. I believe the job market is wide open nowadays with this COVID that has passed and is still ongoing. People are begging to have people work with sign-on bonuses and everything. I'm a firm believer. I would rather have somebody in a job placement rather than taking up space on a bunk on the county's dime.
Question 2. There has been a discussion of a regional jail. The possibility of 4 counties going together to build and fund the jail. Please explain why you would or would not be in favor of a regional facility.
That was kind of a rough one for me. When I say that, going to admit there was talk about a regional jail when I started back in 2001. I've been told it was actually earlier. I don't have much knowledge in the particulars to give an informed answer on a regional jail. I would like to be part of the discussions moving forward. I will tell you this. When Joe Storms had the jail in I believe it was 1996, he had plans and drawings for a pod-style jail. I believe it was a 45-bed jail. There are still drawings around here somewhere. This was back when we actually could get funding for the jail, and for whatever reason, it was a no-go. When I started with Jim Blackburn as chief deputy at the jail, he had a feasibility study for the life, and I can't remember what year. Department of Corrections come in and done a feasibility study for us. And when we presented it to the people involved, the Department of Corrections were present. They could not sign that this is what they would do, but they had said it's kind of like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. That being said, I went for fingerprint training down in Muhlenberg County one time. They had recently, in years previous, built a new jail. I had asked him at the time where we were having a problem with recuperating jail expenses through inmate payback. I said, how do you bill the county inmates? He said, we don't. He said, we built this new jail. We are Class D facility now. The state pays X amount of dollars for the housing the state inmates, and that's what takes care of a county. And he was proud to the point of throwing his chest out. He said, we are in the black right now. We are operating in the black, which that's always a good thing. Whether or not Caldwell County wants a regional jail or a brand new one built, I would have to follow the numbers on the bottom line. I know Caldwell County has one of very few life safety jails left in existence. If we lose our jail, we will be at the mercy of another county housing our inmates. I've always been the type, you take care of your house first. And that's the way it has to be. I want to be able to not dictate, but work a budget within them guidelines without another county saying, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this. I think we just need to, that is a serious issue. We need to look at all aspects, whether it be regional jail, building another jail, or just to keep our jail open.
Question 3. Would you establish a code of ethics for your employees? If your answer is yes, please explain some of the points you would include. If your answer is no, please explain why not.
To me, that question, I knew what the word ethics meant, but I couldn't get a particular scenario. So I looked it up in the dictionary. It reads per Webster Dictionary, I believe, moral principle that governs a person's behavior or conducting an activity. We all have ethics within us. In a jail setting, it is a must-be, constantly followed, because it's a high-pressure situation. The deputies in my book at the Caldwell County Jail, they're trained constantly through Department of Corrections. The deputies there have each other's back. If a situation arises, they just don't jump in. There is a thought process, and ethics go along with that. I was taught early on when I first hired at the jail that Mr. Blackburn insisted on all of his deputies referring to the inmates that come in, yes sir and no sir, yes ma'am and no ma'am, and always call them Mr. Oliver, Mr. Travis, Mr. Martin. Just because a person comes to jail does not mean they lose their respect. You're catching a person at the worst point in their life when they have to go to jail. There's no sense in adding to that. You want to be as kind as possible with a firm hand, and that does coincide. Yes, public safety, that's a given. That's what the jail does. It is phenomenal that the training that the Department of Correction offers for the deputy jailers and jailers. So many times you would get a person come to the jail on drugs and alcohol mad at the world. And I don't know, I've seen it hundreds of times. They come in belligerent, cussing, fighting. That's not the true person that they are when they come in under addiction and under the influence. It's taught early, deal with it. That person is not going to be the same person in the morning. You can look over a lot that's being directed at you by just stop and think about it. You don't want to add to their problems. it is the deputy jailer and jailers to take care of them, and they do a fantastic job. They have jail standards that they have to adhere to. I've personally tussled with them. I've been cussed at. You have to come within yourself to not make excuses, but give the proper treatment. I have children and grandchildren. I would like to think if they got in trouble, that they would be treated respectfully. And that's what I guide my ethics on right there. Another issue is we have the mental health crisis. I have a grandson that is autistic, nonverbal. I would like, and they do train for this at Dailers, just because a person is nonverbal can't express what they're saying, that doesn't mean they're being hostile. That's all they can do. You'd have to be trained to learn that and calm a situation down and understand. And they do go through training.
Is there anything you'd like to add in closing?
Yes, I sure would. I want to be frank as possible. I've been known to, words that I live by is I don't play and I don't argue. Argue and there's no end to it. In 2001, when I first hired there at the Caldwell County Jail, I was of the attitude a drug addiction and alcohol addiction, they don't want no better. It was very few shifts. I looked around, hey, these are my neighbors. My son went to school. My daughter went to school with him. So it's one of us. Could be me in certain instances. So that formed my opinion about inmates at the Caldwell County Jail, people making a mistake. I had a break in service to go to pretrial services. I helped start the monitored conditional release program for District 56. I was there 22 months, and that to me was a form of jail, getting them off the bunk, get them back into society. They had certain things they had to do, like curfew checks, drug testing, job search, to get them on the right track. It works sometimes with all programs, sometimes it don't. There is an exception. I started with drug court in 2012 for 4 counties. I was interviewed, an extensive application and interview process with Randa Simpson, who a lot of people don't know her. She was the pioneer of the drug court program as Kentucky knows it. I had people in my corner like Janice Cunningham, who was my regional supervisor. And first and foremost, and this is where I learned a lot about recovery, Tom Covington, who was a certified drug and alcohol counselor, was our recovery coordinator. A lot of times when a person I get frustrated. You're telling a person this is what they need to do, but they're not doing it. Tom, being from that and learning from him, I learned how to back away from it. Hey, Doug, let's look at it this way. Let's try this angle. Let's try this with this participant. And that really helps. It comes down to, I've worked for 3 different jailers, never lost my position as chief deputy. I've learned from every one of them. There's not a bad one in the bunch. I've learned different things from every one of them, and I can draw off of that. I have a passion to help others. I retired in 2021. I have a job down at Four Rivers Harley-Davidson right now. They treat me very well. It's a good retirement job. I enjoy it, but I am looking forward to finishing my career helping people, and I believe I can help as being jailer.
Mr. Martin, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.